Good afternoon, traders. Let's get into our market update and trading recap for Monday, August 7th, 2023. Let's get into it. So the market was up today. Our account was way up today. So great day overall in the market. Let's take a look and see why that was and what happened in the markets today. So let's jump in here. I'm going to take a look at our day trade little chart here. It gives us a little bit of everything to take a look at. But if you look at, how the overall market performed in here. So SPY opened the day right around the 444, 48 mark, moved up to about the 450 mark, pretty much a nothing day. It gapped up and stayed up, just a slow drift higher on the day, but really nothing exciting happening in this market today. Really a pretty flat day. Didn't really give us a chance to do any type of intraday zero DTE swing trading, nothing like that today, because we really just didn't have any big overbought, oversold opportunity to get in for a reversal. It was just a gap up and just drift a little bit higher, a couple points higher on the day. But overall, SPY ended up today 3.9 points higher, which is a 0.9% day. It's not quite 1% on the day. If we look at what happened on the day, again, we gapped up here at the open, traded a little bit up, down, just a little bit sideways. Really by noon here, we had barely moved a muscle, and then just the afternoon, a little bit of a move higher, and then finally right here around 3:30 or so, as we headed into the close, the market had a little bit of a pullback, not a whole lot of anything, and then just moved higher into the close. So pretty strong finish. Advanced decliners on the day was pretty much a flat line heart rate there. And UVXY on the day was just a slow, steady decline, pretty much the opposite of what we saw happening in the market, which is what you would expect as well. Apple opened down a bit, traded down to about as low as 177.35 before finishing around 178.76. So Apple down about $3 on the day as it continued its slide. We'll look at the bigger picture on Apple. Amazon, on the other hand, opened up today another almost 2% higher on the day as it really took off around noon and broke out and traded a lot higher around noon. Tesla had dipped to about noon and then it just rose higher. And then the same thing with Microsoft. It had dipped and then rose higher. So overall, your big tech stocks really drifted a bit lower until about noon, and then Apple just maintained, but everything else went higher. So there's where we were intraday today. Let's take a look at some bigger charts and see if we can see what's going on in the market. So overall, SPY here, big up down day, yesterday, big down day yesterday with an inside candle day today, pretty much no man's land on the weekly here. MACD continues to start to fold down, but it's only the beginning of the week, so really nothing to take a look at. Now, if we look at the daily chart, that was last week, big down week, inside week this week. I think I might have said day, but it's a week. Then we look at the daily charts, had a pretty good down day yesterday, inside day today, but an up day breaking back above the 21. So really there's nothing to really be excited about to the downside yet, because really holding the 21 EMA, we came down, then we broke it, finished down, then we finished lower, but now we broke back up, not really pushing this 50 at all. In here, just a nice little pullback here. PSAR reversed down. MACD actually reversed a little higher today, and so did RSI on this update. So are we in the next leg higher? We'll see. But right now we still have leg high, higher low, higher low, higher low, higher high, higher high, higher high. So right now, nothing that would set off any major alarm bells on SPY. We'd take a look at the Qs. Pretty much the same thing. A big week down last week. And then this week we're inside of it, trying to figure out which direction to go here. But MACD has again been tailing off, and RSI has been overbought on the weekly, but on the daily, pretty much the same thing as SPY. We came back up. We didn't break above it, but we finished right at the 21 EMA as MACD and RSI tried to curl a tad higher. If we get some follow through the next day or two, I think we could get a really nice run higher. We'll see what happens. IWM just still sitting in this little channel. It can't seem to break through this 198, almost 200 level on the weekly, but we'll see. We've finished off our lows the last 2 days. MACD is again weakening on the weekly. On the daily, though, we have not lost the 21 at all. A couple intraday dips, but dip below, but not finishing below. So a little bit of a mixed day, almost a flat day on IWM. Did nothing to really say or look at there. So let's jump into a few other quick things here. VIX on the day, if we look at the daily here, VIX dropped about 8% on the day, back to 1577. So the big volatility event apparently is over. So there you go. All you people with your VXX and your VIX and all your long volatility plays didn't get much of a follow through today at all. Doesn't mean it won't happen. We got CPI coming out this week. Maybe that'll move the market. Maybe somebody somewhere cares about that CPI. I don't know. We'll see what happens. All right, and then the dollar, pretty unchanged. It's just floating around at this downtrend line here, trying to hold on above the 21, which it is, and the 50 EMA. So could be at least some more bullishness potentially for the dollar. We'll see. But for now, there's just nothing going on over the last couple sessions, but it's had a good run. So I don't think taking a break here is the worst thing on the dollar. MACD starting to tip over a bit. So yeah, maybe a pullback, who knows, on the dollar, and then we'll see where we go on the dollar. And then how's that affect bonds? Well, bonds were back down again today. So yesterday, big up day. All the people with their buy the TMF, buy the TLTs, of which I am very bullish on both longer term here. Longer term meaning 6 months to a year. Maybe that's intermediate term for many of you. But I think 6 months to a year or two TLT is something to take a look at. I think over the next 3 months, I don't think I'm getting as excited as all of these guys with their YouTube channels talking about TMF and TLT. Seems a little premature. I mean, sure, you can get in if your outlook is 2 years down the road. Nothing wrong with that. I think we could double bottom here. Weekly still continues to head lower. I don't see why we may not come back down to this 92, 90 area here, double bottom it before this thing starts to move higher. So maybe a little bit more weakness. I'm just not ready yet to go crazy, but I would be bullish overall. All right, let's take a look at some of the futures. If we take a look at 6A, which is the Aussie dollar, taking a look at where this is, you got a pretty good triangle building up here on an asymmetrical triangle building up here, or symmetrical, I should say, symmetrical triangle building up here on the weekly. We're at the lower end, but we're bullish PSAR. Let's see what happens if we get any kind of a move higher. If that dollar relaxes a tad, we'll start to see the Aussie dollar potentially, I think, move up a bit. If we crunch in a little bit more on the daily, we're down at these lower levels with MACD starting to reverse, RSI starting to pull higher on it. Let's see if we get a move higher on 6A. We have a strangle on there currently. It's pretty much flat after 17 days. I mean, down a few points, mainly because there's a pretty big sell-off, but we've been in it for 17 days on this big down move. Perfect. If we start to rebound back up here, I think we'll be in great shape. Let's take a look at the British pound, and this thing continues to move its way higher. So we keep an eye on where it's moving on the weeklies, just following this uptrend, staying above the 21 after it tested. On the daily, coming back down here, let's see if we get a reversal higher as well. MACD saying, yeah, potentially we could be looking at a little bit of a higher leg, and RSI, is now starting to point higher. It's not all in yet on 6B, but I think it looks good there. We like to strangle these or 112 trade these. I think a little bit higher, and we have a strangle opportunity. I like to go pretty much the middle of the 3 ATR, which you see here, the red and the yellow, and then you get the Bollinger Bands in gray here. I'd like to see us up a little bit higher in the middle, and then I think that's a great place for a strangle. But these are very wide and maybe curling in. So if we get another up day and some continued curl in, I think British pound is a good strangle opportunity. The euro, very similar, been coming down, but on the weekly looks totally fine. Not really breaking through anything major, just a nice little pullback. And on the daily, pretty similar type of stuff here, moving up a bit over the last couple sessions with MACD improving. On 6E, we have a strangle trade on. It is at a 42% profit in 31 days. So we are doggone close to pulling that trade off, putting on another one in 6A. We take a look at, or 6E, which is the euro futures. All right, taking a look at CL, oil. Oil again broke down through that downtrend line, and now oil's trying to make its move higher. It's had a pretty good run of weeks. Not surprised if this thing doesn't just give up a little bit this week after such a run, but it's very strong right now as we look off this bounce back here from 628 and just a 60-degree angle higher on it. So I think a pullback is warranted. It's got a bullish PSAR. It's above the 21, which is above the 200. The 50 is moving higher, not quite exactly stacked, but I think you can look at this 21 or a 200 EMA down at 73 here as a good spot that if we did pull back, maybe to the 21 or a little bit more, I think you're in good shape. So really like oil, I'll be buying on a pullback. We are sitting on two 112 trades, actually three. One just has the put debit spreads left on it. Good day today in oil. We're up on all three of those trades in oil today. Take a look at gold, and gold continues to pull back a tad in here as the market strengthens. So on the weekly here, we're not back to the 21 EMA, but we're getting close. We're still well above the 50. Bullish PSAR signal, bullish MACD rising. I think it's a good spot, and you're exactly on this weekly, you're exactly halfway inside the Bollinger Bands, which are fairly tight, which means volatility had definitely come in on gold, and now you might get some expansion and a move one way or the other. Looking at the weekly or the daily, which way to go, it's hard to tell right now. I mean, if you were looking at it, you've come down to the 21 and the 50, and you're just holding right on those, but maybe the bounce is higher, but hard to say. Look at the Bollinger Bands really tightening up, so you've got a pretty good squeeze getting ready to fire. I think if we looked at our standard weekly chart here, it's in a squeeze. Maybe that's the weekly too. Let's look at the daily. Just entering a squeeze. Squeeze is firing to the downside on the weekly, but the daily just starting to enter a squeeze. We'll see which direction it goes, but potentially down might be the direction. But I think it's just a great point to put on strangles in gold. We've been doing weekly strangles in gold. We'll continue to put on and probably maintain at least 3 to 4 strangles in gold at all times. As we size up, the account's grown quite a bit. We started this a couple years ago at $30,000. We're now at $283,000 without adding any money to this account. So it's up nicely. Big day today in the account. We'll talk about that in a minute. But these gold strangles, because I've been doing weekly, I'm not able to kind of get some of the size I want into these because I'm being very mindful of my trade plan and how tight you can or what the buying power is for any one particular strategy. So I'm going to take a look at potentially trying to get a little larger in size on the actual strangles, more towards where my max loss would permit me to be. And maybe that only gives me 3 on at all times, which means one comes off, I just put 1 on and I'll try to maintain that 3 until I can hit our account up a little bit more. If we can get to, maybe that 3,000 mark in the next couple months, or $300,000 mark in a couple months, it might give me enough room to get back into some more frequency on gold. But right now, gold strangles as a group, I got 4 of them. As a group, they're up 23%. They're looking fantastic right now on gold. So we are in good shape on gold, and we'll keep watching what's going on there. So there's where you are on gold. We do have a lean hog futures trade on. This thing had moved up quite a bit, pulled back to the 21 here on the daily, and pretty much a nothing burger day today, as it's just stalled right in the middle of the 3 ATR and Bollinger Bands. Perfect for a strangle. We actually have a 1-1-2 trade where we've closed the naked puts, but I think a lean hog strangle might be an opportunity here. We'll keep an eye on it. If we pull off a little bit more, then maybe we'll get back into the 1-1-2, but you can do both trades on that here. Nat Gas had a pretty good update today on the daily, moving up. Could be seeing some movement here. Bollinger Bands very tight, pretty squeegeous, and a big move today. Overall, this thing's kind of been up and down, but more down and then just in this tight range, and Bollinger Bands are really tight. So we could see a move on Nat Gas. We do have 2 trades going on. We have a 1-1-2, which is up 168% in 42 days. And then we have a strangle, which is up 3% in 4 days. So we'll keep an eye on where we are on Nat Gas. We don't want to get too crazy because this thing can make big runs on it. I don't know what the catalyst would be for a big run, but technically I could be getting some kind of a move higher. Bonds, we've already discussed having a down day on bonds, but again, I think we might be getting close to, an oversold area on both the weekly and the daily. We'll see what happens. All right, sector-wise, XLK had a slight update today, 0.3%. So technology on the daily, just trying to hold some ground here above the 50. XLY had a decent update today. Much of that coming from Amazon. Tesla giving back some today, but Amazon really driving XLY higher. This thing looks to be maybe breaking out of this little flag, pattern that you have here. We'll see what happens, but back above the 21, could be breaking higher. PSAR reversal yesterday on that move. MACD reversing, so I think you could see more upside on XLY. XOC Communications had a good update today. Nothing exciting there. Energy had a flat day today, slightly up. Give us a green. Just right at this resistance area here. We'll see if it can break through. Financials had a good update today. So financials were up 1.4%. This is one of your larger up sectors along with communications today. So this is one of the big areas. Financials moving quite a bit higher. MACD might be reversing, bounced right off this 21 perfectly on the daily here. So I think you're setting up for a run higher on financials. And then, healthcare up a bit today. Real estate up a bit today after it had pulled back quite a bit. Industrials up decently today. Biotech down pretty hefty today. So you're watching the XBI here. The biotech ETF has just had a pretty horrendous last 2 to 3 weeks. And now it's getting overextended to the downside at the 3 ATR and the RSI. So biotech's having a pretty tough couple of weeks here as you move through it. All right, let's take a quick look at a couple stocks. Amazon just continuing to move higher. Had a huge gap up off the earnings yesterday, or Friday, I should say, and then good follow through today on Amazon. So it's looking strong. Great MACD, RSI moving higher, weekly looking good. This thing could have a little more leg to go. Apple, though, did not have a good day. Started off this week negative, continued this downtrend that we've been having. Now, it did finish off the lows of the day, which could be a good sign. RSI very oversold. MACD oversold as well. The weekly looks like there's more to go, and maybe, we're right at the 21 EMA, which we held today. Could that be a catalyst, an area to bounce higher? Maybe. If not, this 50 is probably where I'm eyeing it, which is somewhere around 166. If we take a look at that on the daily, that puts us around the 200 EMA. So I think that's a good spot, somewhere in this neighborhood of 166, 168 on Apple. Microsoft, good day today. It rebounded a bit. MACD reversing. Meta, MACD reversing, had a good day. Google, MACD moving higher, as well as RSI, and bouncing off of not quite the 21, but bouncing off this support, which was previous resistance, and moving higher. I think Google has got legs to run. NVIDIA, we've got earnings coming up, but it's meandering its way back higher, staying in this range. And that's pretty much it. I guess we'll hit Tesla here. Trying to hang on to this little downtrend that it's been in channel, just holding on for dear life. It was down today a percent, but you've got support right in here on this gap. If we don't want to fill that gap, it's a pretty good doji here with a pretty good long wick down, which means bears trying to take it down, couldn't do it. We finished almost unchanged on the day, but could be a nice reversal sign. It held the 50 EMA. All good stuff. Tesla here, potentially to see this thing maybe give us a little bounce higher. All right, so that's where we are on many of those accounts. Let's take a look at our main account today. So as we jump into the main account. Perfect. So here's where we were on the day today. We ended the day 458 positive delta, which is back down inside our range without us having to do a whole lot of anything. Theta dropped a tad to 732.26, which is pretty much where we've been on this thing. Net lick, though, jumped up $4,000 on the day, over $4,000. At one point a little bit ago, I saw actually a $5,000 up day on the ticker after hours here. So, but we record these things right at the close, so we'll take a little over $4,000 up on the day in the net lick. And then BP jumped up a bit, 155.815 for a 55% BP usage, a little high. Not much I'm going to do about it right now. It's not out of control high, so we'll just kind of naturally let some things come off this week, and we'll see what happens. We did take a $200 realized loss on the day. What was that particular trade? Well, that particular trade right here was a hedge that we put on. We have been selling puts on ES at 14 days out, roughly $200 or so on the $2 strikes. So pretty low delta put buying. It does help with BP. It gives us some black swan-ish hedge against our long, or I'm sorry, our long trades on leaps. But we've got short naked puts on leaps, and we've got short naked puts on ES. So we're hedging those trades a bit with some of these low delta puts that we have working in there. It's an expense. It's $200. I don't care. I'll spend the $200. If we have a 10% drop or so, this will put about 11 grand in our pocket, which should offset a good chunk of the gains. We have two of these running at all times. So roughly 22, 25 grand. If we drop 10%, it'll help us mitigate some of the leap and naked put issues on ES. So that's where we are on that trade. Let's take a quick look at the small portfolio. Ended the day with 21 delta, 43 on theta, again 0.32, which is decent for what we've been. We jump back up to 13,337. We are 100 points off the new all-time highs that we set just a week ago. BP usage did jump up a bit today to 64. So this is a little, not worrisome, but it's just something to keep an eye on. Don't like the fact that this BP use is inching up. Not really sure what is doing that with volatility dropping today and the markets moving up. Don't really see any main thing. We don't have a lot of different trades working in the small account portfolio. So mostly just long-term 112s. We have a strangle in here on oil, and then we have a couple naked MES 90-day puts that we're trading in the small account. But overall, great day in that small account, up not quite $300 on a $12 or $13,000 trade, $13,000 account. So a good day for the good guys. All right, that's our recap for today. Keep sticking to your plan, keep planning your trades, and we'll see you guys back in the markets tomorrow. Take care, everybody.